Hey everybody, how are you guys doing? And more importantly, how are you guys doing on that productivity challenge that we talked about last week? I feel like I am doing pretty well with mine and that it is definitely helping me get more done than I normally would have when I'm just winging it and flying blind. Anyway, leave me a comment anytime throughout this video. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know how your challenge is going. How was week 1? Is there anything that you want to tweak for the week coming up or the next 2 weeks? We're going to talk about some of the things that I learned that I might adjust, or just lessons in general that I learned from that first week, but we'll get to that a little bit later in the video. First of all, I'm just going to share some footage from last week. Okay, so it's midday Monday, first day of the challenge. Yay, so exciting. Anyway, I was hoping to have gotten more done on the weekend as far as prepping my items and possibly even getting some of the photos taken. But unfortunately, that was not something that ended up working out. So I had some things to do this morning, and now is my first kind of chance to sit down and get some things. I did gather a few things together. Here's the clothing that I'm going to be working on for this week. It doesn't look like a ton, but as you know, Mr. Pish Posh is also, he lists clothing as well. And so this is all I'm going to worry about. Whereas I want to put some focus on the flatware and the hard goods. So speaking of hard goods, let me swap the camera for a second. So here's the basket, and I'm still kind of trying to figure out how much stuff that I can reasonably expect to get done this week. Like, some of this stuff is going to go super quickly, like the yarn. So it's kind of like bulky. There's some more yarn in there too. Kind of bulky. It takes up a lot of space in the laundry basket, but it should list really quickly. So I may actually get to a point where I end up like having to refill the basket partway through the week and kind of go from there. So that would be a good problem to have. Anyway, I've got some vintage stuff. Like I said, the yarn. I've got some shoes. I don't know. I guess I count the shoes and clothing rather than hard goods, but in any case, they need to get listed. And down in the bottom, I've got some flatware and things like that. So I also had a question what to do. There's some breakables that I didn't necessarily want to pile into the laundry basket. So this is all just a work in progress. And I'm going to maybe possibly clear some shelves as well that I have down here and kind of work off of those shelves for some of the hard goods. And then some of the softer hard goods can kind of get piled into the laundry basket, if that makes sense. So anyway, I need to get started now. I'm going to start by doing what I like the least as far as the time blocking part, where I'm gonna maybe set the timer for a certain amount of time and just try to take pictures and measurements of as much of the clothing as I can in a certain amount of time. And then I'll do some pictures of the hard goods for a certain amount of time. And then I'm not going to worry about trying to get it all photographed, because tomorrow I have more time tomorrow, and I will take the rest of the pictures of each thing. I do want to get things mostly photographed and the information taken down within the next couple days. I do have a procedure later on in the week that will probably take me out for at least the day of. It's an outpatient thing, but I will be knocked out, and so I don't know how I'll be as far as recovery the next day. As far as like, will I still just be tired from the anesthesia or whatever? I don't know how it's all going to play out, but in any case, if I'm just chilling, it would be nice to just have a bunch of pictures already taken, things, you know, all the information, the details and measurements and things like that already kind of written down, so I can just work off of that while I'm resting. So that's the plan anyway. So I do want to get some things listed in the next few days, but also just kind of prep for the end of the week where I won't be able to do as much. So that's the story, and I will keep you posted. Okay, end of day one, Monday. Just a little update. Don't worry, I probably will not do an update every single day of this challenge, but we're just going to hit some highlight days. I just thought the first day, especially as I try to get this figured out and see how this whole process and flow is going to work, I would just kind of update you on how that's going. So today I was able to list 5 patterns from my drafts and get those live. I was able to list 3 items of eBay clothing to put on eBay. What was I going to say? Oh, I did take more pictures than those 3 that I listed. So tomorrow morning I'm going to start off, I think I'll start off the day taking pictures. Yeah, I think so. Cause I think it's one of the few days where I'm actually home for most of the day tomorrow. And I do feel good like first thing in the morning and can get some stuff done. So I think I'll just kind of work on getting pictures taken first thing in the morning. So in other news, hard goods, I was only able to draft 1 listing, and I probably can get that live tonight because I think all I need is a weight on that. I can weigh something really quick. It was some yarn, and I'll just get a weight on it, and then that one can go live. Didn't do any flatware. Look, I got to make my little marks. They're so satisfying to make the marks. No flatware, no jewelry. Ruby Lane, the only progress I made is I took some photos and I got the photos loaded into the Ruby Lane website. I don't know how familiar you are with Ruby Lane, but the way I have it set up is that, so Ruby Lane, the very first photo, they take care of removing the background because they want to have like a clean look to everybody's listing. So they provide that service for you, but you have to submit the photo that you want as your main photo. And then basically overnight, they have people working on it and get those backgrounds removed. So I have it set up that once that process is done, then my listing kind of goes live onto, like, it's still visible in my shop. If a person was shopping and looking in my store, they would be able to see the listing and purchase it and everything. But as far as the promoting they do on site with like your item showing up in the newly listed page that a lot of shoppers like to peruse, that won't show up until that first photo is done processing. And so I took the photos, I loaded them, and I sent the photos that I want to be first to AIP, it's called. And so those will be ready tomorrow. And then so tomorrow when I sit down and actually list those items, they'll be live and be going right into that, that page, you know. So basically if I had listed them today, by listing them, that first photo automatically gets sent to AIP. It would get processed tonight and it wouldn't hit those pages until tomorrow anyway. So I'm kind of at the same, you know, I'm in a good spot for Ruby Lane. I did cross list. That's probably what I have the most little cross hatchies of, because there's kind of always some cross listing to do. There's either stuff that Mr. Pish Posh, he listed that I need to cross list for him. The 3 eBay clothing things that I listed, I also already cross posted those. And then there's stuff that I just, you know, from the past, like I was just looking at some flatware. It's very mid-century. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to cross post these over into Mr. Pish Posh's Etsy shop, because Etsy, mid-century and Etsy still do pretty well. So I might do that. So there's always stuff as I look through, all of a sudden I find a listing that, oh, I never put that on Depop, you know, things like that. And good news, one of the items that I cross-listed to Poshmark has sold already. So shout out Vendoo. Thank you for making it so easy to cross-post my items. And the only thing I didn't hit, well, not the only thing, but delist, relist. So I'm not sure if Mr. Pish Posh did any of that today. But maybe before I go to bed, I will take a look. Like I just want to list maybe that one hard good. And then maybe I'll take a look at some listings that are about to expire on eBay, and I will end them and relist them and do the same with the Poshmark listings as well, and the Depop or whatever, wherever they are. I might just do a couple of those. I did get a notification that Vendoo is going to be on maintenance mode tonight, and I think it starts at 11 o'clock my time. So I am going, oh, is it 11 o'clock my time? Or is it, yeah, 11 o'clock my time. And so if I'm going to do that, I'm going to have to do that now. But so all of this that I got done today, I also made dinner. I also recorded a video. I just finished making the thumbnail for the video, and I am in the process of downloading it to my computer, and then I will have to upload it into YouTube. So all of that takes time. Sometimes it's 20 minutes. You got to wait for your video to move from here to there, and another 20 minutes. So that's just a process where then my computer's kind of being occupied, and there's nothing really I can do about it. So I'm actually quite impressed and proud of myself. Now the hard part, not the hard part, but the thing is that it's Monday. I generally feel productive on Mondays. And so it didn't feel too hard to kind of do the things that I wanted to get done. So we'll see as the week goes on. Like I said already, I've got stuff happening at the end of the week. So we'll see how this helps having some things prepared when maybe there's other times where, you know, you don't have as much time to get things done. That's kind of the whole idea. What I like about this setup on this is that it's easy at a glance to balance myself out. So for instance, I saw that I listed eBay clothing, right? And maybe not so much hard goods and not flatware. So if I take a look at this, say on a normal week on Thursday, I look and I'm like, man, I didn't get much flatware. I didn't get much done on Ruby Lane. I know where to put my focus at that point. Whereas like today I was listing eBay clothing and I'm like, list. And then, you know, normally I would have just listed eBay clothing and then been like, oh, well, I didn't get any flatware done. I didn't get any Ruby Lane done. But I made myself stop after 3 because I still needed time in the day to get some other things done, because I wanted more than just one box to have check marks in it, right? So I think it's just a good thing for at a glance to see the holes, right? To see where it was that I need to put my attention. Okay. So I am going to go do those things I said I was going to do, and then I'm going to rest for the rest of the night, and I will be back at it tomorrow. Okay, so day 2 of the challenge. Today is shaping up to be a little bit of a low energy day. You can probably tell from my face. I didn't sleep a whole lot last night, but that's okay. I'm trying to remind myself that this challenge is not about quantity. It's not about listing as much as possible. It's about being as efficient and productive in maybe the limited amount of time or the limited amount of energy that I have at a given time. And so it's also about just kind of making sure I'm hitting all the different categories and niches and things like that. So I don't have to worry about big numbers or anything. I just need to keep going. And I think I'll start off, I'll take some pictures now just to kind of get them into my phone, and then I'll work on listing some of the things like on Ruby Lane that I took pictures of yesterday that I haven't gotten listed yet. And then we'll go from there. We'll see what happens. I did spend more time last night cross-listing some of the things that Mr. Pish Posh listed, and just kind of, I did a few of the delist, relist, like 3 of those, and then just kind of tweaked some listings as well. So I worked a little bit later than I normally would have. So that's a big thing for me. Okay, I hope you guys have a great day with your challenges. Okay, so as you can see, the footage only went up to about half the week because of the surgery that I had later in the week. But hey, okay, just interjecting here real quick. To clarify, it was actually only a couple days of footage because the footage I took for Wednesday, somehow the video ended up being compromised, but I don't think there was really anything that important. It was just more of what I needed to get done that day. So let's go on to what else we can learn from this experiment. It was interesting looking back at what I was talking about, how I did have some highs and lows, some really productive times, some not so productive times. But as you can see, here's my filled out little sheet for the week. We have Thursday, kind of a bust. Friday, I did a little bit more. I ended up just writing instead of my little tally marks. I just wrote yes on cross listing and delist relist because I really did quite a bit of that, but I didn't have the sheet up there and I didn't bother counting how many that I did. And then Saturday, I was able to get a few more listings done in patterns and on Ruby Lane. And then Sunday, I did a little bit more, but I've put that on my fresh sheet that I'm going to be using for this week. I put some of that over on Sunday and some of the stuff that I've already gotten done today on Monday. So what do I want to say about what I learned? First thing I learned is that there is no failure when you set goals, okay? So I said at one point in the footage that this isn't about quantity. This was about being productive, and being productive even when maybe some things get in your way. And so when you think about setting goals, if you don't set a goal, you might just end up here, you get some things done and it's all good, right? If you set a goal, you're going to aim up high for your goal. And even if you don't reach your goal, you'll probably still end up higher than where you were if you didn't set the goal, right? Does that make sense? I've used that thought a lot of times throughout my life on different things that I've set goals on in the past. And so setting a goal is really important. It's something I have not incorporated into my reselling for a really long time. And so, besides like a listing challenge or something like that. So I'm feeling good about the whole process overall. So the second thing I learned is how important and how beneficial it is to actually have a draft bank. Okay, so some listings that are ready to go in your computer. They're either in the drafts on eBay or they're in the drafts on Vendoo or something like that. Or at least have the photos taken and like the information that you need about the item, like written down somewhere. And the reason I see the benefit to that, Mr. Pish Posh kind of struggles with this a bit, but we're in the process of kind of changing our listing flow. And that's something that's kind of come up, kind of part of doing this challenge, but then also just the way we want to work in the future. So he's finally kind of come around to that idea of a draft bank. In the past, he was always like, man, we got to get that listed. So like he's going to be doing some drafts and then I'm going to follow along and list. Now, we all know Mr. Pish Posh lists and drafts and does things. He's hyper-focused for a while and he gets so far ahead of me. And then he doesn't think I keep up fast enough. So what we've decided, though, as we talked about that idea of having the draft bank, is that he just said it to me a few minutes ago as we talked about it. He said, I always struggled with that. I just was like, how can it sell if it's not out there available? So he's like, I'll do, one day and I'll like slam out my 15 listings or more. He says, but then maybe he's got some health challenges. He says either that or other work that he's got going. He's like, then maybe I don't list for, 5 days, right? And so he's like, if we have that draft bank, right? If you're feeling good, if you have some extra time, you think you want to make 5 listings, then just go ahead and make 10 or just make 1 extra or 2 extra, but just post the 5, right? and kind of hold on to those other listings. And then the next day you're super busy, you're super don't feel good, whatever, you can just launch those listings. The eBay algorithm, most of the online venues algorithms, they just enjoy, they respond to consistent listing. That's just something that we have found. Etsy is like that. If I'm not listing in the pattern shop, it pretty much goes dead. I've been increasing the pattern listings because of my son helping me with that other challenge last month. And we are seeing a lot more consistent pattern sales, right? So it's just kind of the nature of the beast. So a draft bank is good. There was even, like I said, it didn't necessarily have to be something already drafted, but just to have the photos and the information that you need to make a listing. I was, coming out of my anesthesia, a day or two later, I had a really bad headache. I was still kind of just hanging out in my bed, low energy, but I had enough energy to I can get a couple things listed, right? So that was actually kind of perfect timing to do this challenge that week because I would not have, if we didn't do this challenge, the amount of stuff I would have gotten listed last week would have been laughable. But we did pretty good. Okay. So then the third lesson I think I learned that I definitely want to keep going with is to do, like, in any given time or whatever. I'm going back and forth on this one, but do the hard things first, right? Just do the stuff that you don't enjoy as much. Get your little, your time block, like, all right, I really don't want to take pictures for an hour, but just get up, get your time block, do the pictures, and then the other stuff that's a little bit easier or whatever, just that can kind of fall in place the rest of the day. Okay, so I'm about to sneeze again. I think it's currently snowing at the moment. No, I don't think it's going to accumulate. It snowed yesterday pretty good, and then today's just kind of flurries off and on. But when it snows, I end up sneezing. Anyway, what else did I want to say? So those are kind of the lessons. Like there's no failure in, as long as you're setting a goal, you're not failing. Have a draft bank, do your hard things first. So that's kind of what I've learned. Now for the week coming up, what I think I've got planned is my laundry basket system. So I did not empty out the laundry basket. I definitely did not get to all the things that I had put in that basket. I also added some things to the basket as the week went on, and that was not really what I was supposed to do, right? Because it will become a never-ending basket, and then I just don't know if I'll ever feel accomplished with it, right? So I did notice the holes, as I said in the footage, that, you can see quickly where your holes are. And I would say definitely I didn't get to the flatware or as much of the jewelry as I wanted to. So that's going to be this week's focus. I really only I didn't finish all the clothing that I had pulled aside. I have a few pieces of that left. So that's the only clothing I'm going to worry about this week. I'm going to focus heavily on the flatware and the jewelry, and then finish up the other hard goods that are in that basket, and then see if, once that's emptied, then worry about adding some more to it. So this week's a little bit more about catching up from last week. Again, kind of an unusual circumstance for the week, but all in all, I felt very productive. And the success, here's some of the success that I just want you guys to take away. And again, like I said, leave me a comment if you saw some success out of the strategies that you put into place. So of the new listings that I did, we've probably sold like 6 or 7 of the new items that I got listed. And some of that were my listings, and some of that were me following up on Mr. Pish Posh's drafts, and then cross-posting. So some of the sales were on eBay, a couple were on Poshmark, that once we cross-posted them. And then the D-list relist actually worked really well. So there was at least 2 or 3 items this week that we took some stale items, delisted them, relisted them, and then like one item, there was this hat, and we've had this baseball cap for a long time, and it got delisted, got relisted. I cross-posted it over to Depop, and that's where it sold. And it was not, like, it was a Tour de France baseball cap, and I don't know why I don't think it was on Depop before. Put it on Depop, and it sold for like $18 or something. So yeah, there were quite a few things that getting those stale listings freshened up, price adjusted, things like that, worked really well. We had a couple items, like they sold like really fast once we got them listed. So I see, you know, it's good to see that success, see some results from the work that we're putting in. Okay, so I think that's all I wanted to say in this update. Again, I hope you guys are doing well with I know it's a busy time of year for everybody. So hopefully these little strategies have helped you kind of stay focused or get a little bit extra done that you wouldn't have gotten done before. I just have to resist the urge to overwhelm myself and to what's that expression? Take on more than I could chew, but yeah, whatever. And I got to stop refilling the basket so that I can actually see an empty basket so that I can feel some accomplishment. And I will, one more thing. I decided, speaking of that, liking to feel fulfilled because of my little tally marks of what I got done, I decided to add another thing at the bottom here, and it's the number of items I photographed. Okay, so it's another thing. It's one of those things, like if one day I only had half an hour, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go get a bunch of things photographed and get ready to list later when I have time. Like at the end of the day, I had nothing to check off on here, and so it just kind of felt like I didn't do anything, right? But the photos are a big part of any kind of the reselling productivity. So I added a little row so I can make some more tally marks. Okay, thanks for following along with me, and I will keep you updated. Let me know if you want, I can definitely do another update video at the end of this week, but let me know if that footage of how things went, as the week went on. Let me know if the footage was helpful as well. So we'll talk to you guys later.